Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of The Bullet. My name is Paul Lathrop. I'm the Deputy Director of New Media for the Second Amendment Foundation. No, your watch is not wrong. We're going a little bit early today, and joining me is not Amanda Suffolcool from Eye on the Target Radio. I need to change that quickly. Let's see here. There's a correct one. That's still wrong, though. It's still not correcting. Well, maybe.
I wish I had Amanda's head of hair. How about you?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm exactly. Now my software shows. Let me do this here quickly. I'm gonna go over to this one. There we go.
There I am to stay with the
All
team.
right.
Oh, there we go. See? Got to turn it off, turn it on, turn it off,
Yeah.
turn it on. There you go.
Yeah. Exactly. Kind of like Congress, you got to turn it off and turn it back on again. I wish we could do that, Mike. I just.
Yeah, I'm with you. Well, I think we tried that about 2 years ago. Right?
Yeah, well, about 6 years ago when we first brought Trump in, but yeah. Let's talk a little bit about elections yesterday. That still is the majority of our news that I was able to find today. And story up by Tom Knighton that over at Bearing Arms that 114 did pass in Oregon. The only counties that are left out are the counties on the coast that are heavily gun grabbing, let's put it that way. And so it looks like 114 is going to pass in Oregon. Mike, I don't think it's going to stay law for very long. I expect lawsuits just as soon as they certify the thing.
Yeah, if even waits that long, right? I'm sure they've got them in the can, ready to go. Folks, 114 is the all-encompassing take your rights away from you gun laws out there in Oregon. I'm looking at it right now too, Paul. It looks like like you said, 79% reporting in, 51% yes, 49% no. But again, the couple of jurisdictions they're waiting on are normally favor heavy blue or heavy Democrat voting. But yeah, folks, this means if you're in Oregon, you're hosed now. You can't take your gun from your left hand to your right hand without doing a background check. It's that kind of when the gun changes hand laws, it's got to get a background check done, even if it's two family members, people you've known for 25, 30 years.
Yep.
Now there's the magazine ban. You're going to get the red flag laws. Everything that California and New Jersey could dream of, Oregon now has.
And just to buy your first firearm, you're going to have to go through firearms training, including live fire, which kind of means you have to have a gun to buy a gun. So
yeah, I guess you're out there just do the pew pew pew. Look, I qualify.
Yes. Reminds when we were kids, Mike. I used to play cops and robbers a lot. I used to play cowboys and Indians a lot. Bang bang! I shot you. No, you didn't. You missed.
Right?
Is that what we're going to be down to qualifying now for somebody who's trying to buy their first firearm?
That's what it's going to be. Evidently, that's what it's going to be. You got to go out and you have to have the permit before you can buy the gun, but you have to have the gun to qualify before you can buy the permit. So that's a good old fashioned catch-22 right there, if I ever heard one.
Yeah. And want to remind everybody real quick that if you're catching us live and you're catching us on the Polite Society podcast feeds, you can get your comment in. Just go to the live video, comment there. I get the comments. I'll put them on the air, Mike, and I'll discuss them. And if you're catching us anywhere else, go to Twitter, tweet with the hashtag #TheBullet. And I get those just as fast. And if you're watching us on OpsLens or anywhere else, tweet there. Go to Twitter, tweet, and we'll get your comments and get them up. So yeah, I really fully expect that in the next several weeks, SAF will have a lawsuit along with other gun rights organizations who may step in to help. I don't expect us really to do this one alone, but if we need to, we can. So I want to go after one more. I got two stories that are not specifically election related, but one off of Student Life. This is a independent newspaper for the Washington University in St. Louis. And they had an interview with Professor Layla Sadat. And what it is reframing conversation around gun control, about gun control around human rights. This is a big gun grabbing piece. What I think our viewers and our listeners and the professor will find is I actually agree with the professor on 2 points. The question they ask her, I'm just off the start, what advice would you give for advocates of gun control to make their dialogue more persuasive to people who have so far been resistant to their calls for change? She says, and I'm going to skip off the first part. See here. Where I'm trying to find out where she said it.
I blame the pop-ups.
Yeah, and then there are some.
It starts with let's see, Sadat.
Yeah.
Current focus in the U.S. is almost entirely on the rights of individuals
Yes.
wishing to purchase and wield arms, which they frame as gun rights guaranteed by the Second Amendment of the Constitution. I like to say there's no such thing as gun rights because guns don't have rights, people do.
She's absolutely correct. I do not have gun rights. I have a human right of self-defense. The Second Amendment to the United States Constitution guarantees me the ability to use whatever tools are most effective to defend my country and my life. And so she is absolutely right, Mike. There are no such things. There are no such things as gun rights. Guns do not have rights.
Yeah, agreed. Right? They're just property. Even if they belong to somebody else and they've been stolen, that the individual item does not have the right. It's the individual that is the owner of the property has the rights, or the individual has, as you said, has the right to use that property. For in defense of themselves or others. I do agree with you, Paul. She's absolutely correct. The guns don't have rights. We have rights. People have rights. But her reason for coming to that conclusion, I believe, is different than yours and mine. Her reason for coming to that conclusion is that guns don't have rights. So because guns don't have rights, we can keep them away from people because guns can hurt people, and then people don't have rights. It's circular logic. It draws the wrong conclusions. It's as if saying, you know what, Paul, you're not allowed to speak at all because if you speak at all, you might offend someone, and if you offend someone, then that's a violation of their First Amendment rights. So it's real circular logic. Come to the wrong conclusion.
It is. I'd like to add, here in the United States of America, you have the absolute right to be offended, and I have the absolute right to offend you. So there we go.
Yeah. There you go.
Next one, you wrote in your Harvard Law Review article that constant mass media coverage of shootings harms mental health of viewers. How do you think the media can mitigate potential harm for their content poses for viewers? And this is what Sadat says: it's preferable for the news following mass shootings to focus on the victims and the harm that the entire school faces, not on the mental health struggles of the shooter. And journalists should take care not to glorify the shooter in any way or allow the shooting to become a platform for his or her views. Guess what? I'm right there with you, Professor. I'm tired of these human beings, and I'm even stretching it, giving them that much. I'm tired of these people becoming famous for horrific acts. And that we can lay that right flat at the feet of the mainstream media. I don't care why they did what they did. What they did was horrific. They need to become a non-person. They need to become totally anonymous, where the entire country says, who? What do you think?
Yeah,
Bud?
agreed completely. Yeah, agreed completely. When we do stories, and even when we talk about it here, do it on the other shows or the programs, I always refer to the bad guy as just that, bad guy. So bad guy did this, and then bad guy did this, or butt clown, or the fool, the idiot, the moron. I've never ever called them by their name unless you're getting to. There's some instances like, okay, bad guy was put to death today because of the crimes he committed, and then I'm kind of okay giving his name. But otherwise, yeah, there's no reason to give them any publicity whatsoever. Many states out there have already they've made it illegal for these bad guys, these convicted criminals, accused criminals, whatever, to profit off of their crime. Like they can't go sell their story, they can't write a book, they can't do any of that. So we have that. We've clearly recognized that in the First Amendment industry, or as far as being allowed to make money off their horrible crimes. It's a free speech thing. No, we're not giving you the opportunity to do that. So I don't see why, and I don't see how the news media can't keep from putting their name up. I mean, besides, if it bleeds, it leads, right? And that's where we are today as a society.
And I'll say this: I'm not. I do not want to take away anyone's free speech rights. If they want to write a book, let them write a book. I'm against them making money off of criminal acts. And so if you want to write a book and all the proceeds go to your victims, okay.
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with that.
No, I think that's a fair turnabout, because they could argue it's their healing and creative process. Man, I don't care. If you write a book, if it sells anything, we're going to give the money to the families. There you go. I like that, Paul.
Yeah. Let's see here. And now we are starting because we went early. We're slowly building up our audience. We're getting viewers in, but and for those of you who are just catching us, we went early as a convenience to Mike because hurricane. But anyway, by the way, how are things going down there with the this is not the same as the last one that came through 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, just about that, right? That one struck southwest Florida. This one came up the east coast of Florida, kind of hugged the coast for a couple hundred miles. Came inland a little bit. This one had I think some more severe winds that were sustained for a longer period. I'll say, like where I am, we had 50, 60 mile an hour winds, which is nothing. We get that in a thunderstorm here, but it lasted on a 200-mile journey. When the other one came ashore, it devastated Fort Myers, but 50 miles away from there, not so bad. That one, the one a month ago, was a Category 5, and it drowned everything down there. Buildings were 10, 15 feet underwater. This one, not so much with the storm surge. There's some beach erosion, obviously, and there's some rain that's going to get some rivers and lakes high again. But I think this one you're going to find if there is a death toll from this one, it's going to be that kind of accidental deaths that occurred during this, not like the devastation damage that the last one did. So both going to cost a lot of money to fix, but all good here, Paul. Thanks for asking.
Well, and I'm wondering, and whenever I hear death tolls, it's up here. If you get a death during a storm, a lot of them are storm chasers. I'm going to go see what this tornado is all about from 50 feet away. I'm wondering, you've got to have things, Mother Nature, give me everything you got. Kerslam! Here comes the storm surge. You get that down there too?
I'm far enough inland where I don't get a storm surge. Storm surge here. I'd expect to see a big boat with 2 of every animal on it. That's how far. But I do take the preparations. We take them seriously. Listen, you get a lot of people that panic and I got to get bread, I got to get water. But I'm pretty much ready year round. I've lived here long enough. I'm sure, just like you are, you're ready for the cold year round. I do. I mean, obviously, in our industry, I have me a Serbu 50 cal carbine rifle. And I'll sit out on the front porch because I will not be Sharknadoed. I let everybody know that.
All right. I'm wondering if a SAW, a squad automatic weapon, might be better for the Sharknado, because there's a lot of them when those come through.
There is. I mean, that's a lot of, that's like peppering them. I'm looking for that one big boom. I want to see them explode like I put an air tank down in there and then shot it. Jaws style.
Let's keep the focus on Florida a little bit, and staying also with the elections a little bit. Florida used to be a huge swing state. It's looking more and more reliably red.
Yeah, well, listen. Captain Florida, right? Look at Ron DeSantis. How does he not, command the audience that he gets? He's an energetic and a positive role model for everybody. Well, except for the 40% that thought Charlie Crist would do the right thing. But the rest of us, we're all there. We've had, Paul, between 200, 400,000 people come over from the past, depending on the timeline you're looking at, of course, 4 or 5 years from Puerto Rico. Everybody here was concerned that they were all going to register Democrat like they are in Puerto Rico. And again, the short-sightedness of certain people out there in the media, that the Democrat Party in Puerto Rico is not the same Democrat Party we have here, on Kona's side. Down there, it's much more of the traditional Democrat Party, and you have to be the Democrat down there if you want to get things like government assistance. They came over here, and the Republican Party was closer to what their ideals were, so they voted at like a 3-to-1 rate for DeSantis over Crist. So big difference. We know the African American population also turned out for the Republicans as well here in the state of Florida. I'll tell you one other thing you may not realize. I don't know if it got put up yet, because we're not down to the little elections yet, is that Charlie Crist gave up his congressional seat to run for governor. His old seat, his old district was flipped by Air Force veteran and someone that we met at SHOT Show, Anna Paulina Luna. She's now a 33-year-old Air Force veteran and member of U.S. Congress, turned it and flipped it to Republican.
Nice. Very cool.
So not only did Charlie Crist get beat, he got his old seat turned red also.
Well, and we mentioned yesterday, Charlie Crist has somewhat of a distinction now. He's lost as a Republican. He's lost as an independent. Now he's got the trifecta, man. He's lost as a Democrat. He needs to go Green Party. Make it.
Right. Or go to Pennsylvania.
Well, there is that. I don't know. Pennsylvania. That's a whole nother. That's a whole nother story right there. Big John 410 saying, "Stay safe, Mike." Mike's got that whole. He's got the whole bunker there. I think it's even hermetically sealed, so he could be 30 feet underwater right now, and wouldn't know until he puts Periscope up. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait till after the show though to do that. I don't want to get the electronics wet.
All right, one more story I want to cover today, and this is off North State Journal in North Carolina. Firearms advocacy group prepares second lawsuit against Mecklenburg sheriff. This is out of the Raleigh area. I'm going to read just a little bit off the beginning of it. Largest gun rights advocacy group in the state is filing a second lawsuit over continued delays to concealed carry permits against Mecklenburg County Sheriff Gary McFadden. GRNC says McFadden appears to be using mental health records requests to delay permit issuance. I'm going to leave it there. Basically, this guy, it doesn't matter if he requests, he says he's allowed to do this, he requests mental health records for everybody that applies for a permit, including whether or not you've ever served in the military. He asks for mental health records for you from the VA. And when the VA doesn't send records back because they don't have them, he delays. Good luck to Grassroots North Carolina on this. I don't think they're really going to need it. I think what needs to happen is this sheriff needs to be set down aside and say, look, if you want to continue being sheriff, do your job. If you don't, we'll find somebody that will.
Yeah, this seems rather ripe for an injunction, right? I think all we have to see here is one of the folks there from GRNC just go in and talk to the judge and go, Your Honor, I don't think he's seen Bruin. Let's take a look at the Bruin case here, and that's going to be the end of this. We've already seen the federal judge rule on similar things in New York as well. So. I think this is done. I think you're right. I think this sheriff needs to be exposed. It is that greater, Raleigh-Durham, area. That's where Mecklenburg County is. So it's going to be tough. He's got that. He's got that blue, that blue city that he's in, or that blue county that he's in. I think what they may need to do, and I'm sure North Carolina has one. They have a sheriff's association there in North Carolina, and this is the thing that the peers need to start laying on this sheriff with. Now the sheriff's going to complain, I'm my own sheriff, I'm my own big boy, I can do whatever I want. That's fine, he can. But all the red sheriffs and all the constitutional sheriffs there can say things like, your boys come into our jurisdiction, they're on their own. That's that. If you want to play like that, this is how we're going to play. Sorry, you're on your own.
Yeah,
not for life or death situations. Let's be clear on that. I'm talking like, hey, we need assistance with, no, on your own. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. This sheriff, and that this is a bit of a unicorn. Most sheriffs, being elected officials, are pro Second Amendment, and I usually, when you see law enforcement opposes this or that measure, when it comes to Second Amendment rights, it's an appointed chief of police or an appointed person of one variety or another. Very rarely is it a county sheriff.
Yeah, and listen, I said, I think I said Raleigh-Durham. I don't know where my brain went. It's the Charlotte area there in North Carolina. Yeah, listen, for those not from the South and not or the Southwest and not familiar with the sheriffs, and even out west, the sheriff is the chief law enforcement officer of the county. The city police departments can exist if the sheriff says, yes, you can have your own police department. But the lowest deputy is still technically has higher authority than the chief of police because they work for the high sheriff. They don't work for another agency that's subservient, or well, they're lesser on the totem pole than the big sheriff, the big sheriff's agency. Now, it's an urban area, Paul, and we see this a lot. We've got a sheriff in a couple of the big urban areas here in Florida, 3 or 4 of them, same way. I'm sure when we look over at in Texas and look at whatever's going on around Austin and over in that area, you're going to see the same kind of thing. We know in California it's like that in the big cities. All those sheriffs seem to really need to be concerned with is not going to jail, though. Corruption's bad. Don't do that. But you have all the other constitutional sheriffs, like you said, that are in the more suburban areas, the more rural areas, and it's not a big deal. These sheriffs are torchbearers for the Constitution, the entire Constitution. Yes. Not let's pick and choose and take away gun rights from those that want to protect themselves in the county that I can't police enough to keep the crime rate down.
I want to branch off a little bit here. Here, a few months ago, at Florida, the Agriculture Secretary, Nikki Fried, made some news in that she was suing the Biden administration so that people who had medical marijuana cards could continue to purchase firearms and could get concealed carry permits in the various states. My understanding was she was leaving that post, but she was never a friend of the Second Amendment. She was more a friend to marijuana. Is she still in that post? Is she leaving? What's going on with her? Do you know off the top of your head?
Yeah, she did not run for that office. She has since been replaced with this past election, this past week. Wilton Simpson. He's a former state senator here in Florida. Although, if you may remember the name Wilton Simpson, he was one of the people while he was in the Senate as a Republican that would not bring the constitutional carry bill to the floor. So, whereas he may not be completely anti-gun, we know he's anti, open carry, and that's what it was, open carry and constitutional carry. So, but he's not in that job anymore. So he's all for concealed carry. So, and that's the agency, the agricultural commissioner there that oversees that. So
let me get a comment up here, and then I want Mike's opinion on something here real quick. George says San Diego sheriff has been pretty good. He's an exception compared to the other California city sheriffs. Going to the constitutional carry thing and the concealed versus open carry thing, DeSantis has been a champion for permitless carry in Florida. He said a couple times, send it to my desk, I'll sign it, we'll make it law. What would your opinion be of permitless carry, but it must be concealed, you cannot open carry? Do you think that's possible?
I think that's probably the next evolution here in Florida. 36 years ago, we were one of the first states to get concealed carry. One of the things, though, we had to give up was the open carry. We had open carry to stay. I remember the shotguns and the rifles in the back rack of the pickup trucks, and it was never an issue back then. Different time, I get that. It's apples and oranges, but we were promised to get open carry back, within the next cycle or the next legislative year. Again, 36 years later, it hasn't happened. We know we have a lot of people in this state that are not for open carry, and the reason is 36 years. That's almost 2 generations, Paul. So you've got 2 generations of people here that we happen to be in one of the 5 states that does not have open carry. So everybody here in Florida has been taught for 2 generations, including its law enforcement, that if you see a gun, it's bad. All guns are bad guns. And they're going to have to get over that. So I think the first step they're going to use to get over that is let's go constitutional carry or permitless carry, but only for concealed carry. And I think that's probably the next logical step. We've talked about compromise before. I refuse to compromise with the left, okay? The left's idea of compromise is they're going to take half my rights this year and then half my rights next year.
Yep.
However, if I sit here and say that I'm 100% absolutist, I'm never going to get anything back, Paul. But what I am doing is use their own tactics. I'm going to take back this piece this year and then another piece next year, because that's where it's going. Look at McDonald, look at Heller, look at Bruin. We have turned that tide on him. We are taking back more and more every year. That's the compromise I'm willing to make, and I think I'd accept that in Florida as well. As much as I want, I want to order an F-15 off of Amazon and have it show up on my door and carry it on my back. I'm not going to get that today.
If you can carry an F-15 on your back, dude, you got one hell of a strong back.
Oh, yeah, listen, I just got to stretch first. That's the problem. I could do it. I just stretch for about an hour. Yeah, so.
All right. Well, I think that today is going to be one of the rare days we finish in under our 30 minutes. We only got a couple minutes left, but so what I think I'm going to do is ask you on your way out, plug the rundown, plug your Saturday show, plug whatever you want to do, man.
Yeah, let's talk Rundown. Rundown is a daily show. Myself and Craig DeLuz, he's one of the talking heads over there at the Firearms Policy Coalition, and we've been doing this for it's over 2 years now, 2.5 years, and having a great time building viewers. You can see us in all the places you'd see these kind of stuff, Ops Lens, as well as Spotify and Stitcher and YouTube. I think I'm trying to remember what Craig says on the show. I don't really listen when Craig's talking, but I think that's stuck in my brain. At Arms Room Radio, we've been doing that now for we're over 8 years into this program. We're on 50 stations around the country. ArmsRoomRadio.com. You can listen either there live and or you can figure out from there where we're playing around the country. And I know a little behind on posting some stuff up. We had some glitches, and they're now under control. So you should see it all populate again here in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, very cool. I remember the last time Florida Carry had an event, which is almost 2 years ago. I remember you and Craig were both down there, and you were just kicking that show off. I think it was episode 3 was happening when you guys were down there. So, Folks, and they Mike, through the wonders of digital, got over here within seconds of that show going dark today. So please do go check it out. If you're watching on Ops Lens, it happens just before we come on. If you are anywhere else, it is 4 p.m. Central Time. Adjust your watches accordingly. So on my end, we're going to step aside for today. Tomorrow is Trading Friday, and Brooke Cheney is going to be stepping in to talk with us. She's going to talk about what to expect what to expect to get when you go to get training. So that's tomorrow. Saturday at noon, we do have our weekend edition of The Bullet. Come join us then. But that's it for us today, folks. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we will see you next time.